Now these are your child safe ID kits. Are you familiar with the Amber Alert? Police in our communities are actively searching for over 2,300 children each and every day. This is a vital tool, heaven forbid something were to happen to your children. Something you need to write in pencil, height and weight. Update pictures like social occasions like holidays, birthdays, school pictures. Make sure you fingerprint them. The middle section is in place for all distinguishing features. Birthmarks, scars, glasses, braces. Now on the back is just some simple information for the parents. Do you see how important this is for all children? Exactly. So you have a will set up, right?
No.
This is your family info guide. This is not a will, but this is so important to fill out when something happens to you. Your family will know exactly what to do. After you fill this out, you want to put this in a safe place in your home. There is one for each of you. The top is where you fill out all your vital information, your birthdays, social security, and etc. Have either one of you ever been in the military? Okay. Persons to be notified is the most important part. Do you know millions of dollars go unclaimed in life insurance each year because either families doesn't know about the insurance, they don't know how to make a claim, or the company can't find a beneficiary. So what they are saying, put down 5 people each that are local in your area that can be there to help you family out immediately when something happens to you. So who are your top 5 key local people in the area in the event of emergency or death? Your estate information goes here. You do have life insurance outside of work, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is a part of your financial institutions. Do you use a checking or savings account?
Checking.
List the information here because when you die, someone in your family has to close your account. Here is your funeral service and final request. It's very important. Have either one of you had a planned funeral? Do you want a cremation or burial? Either way, it's very expensive. Remind me before I go, part of the program takes care of all your final expenses, but you will need to qualify for it. Do you see how important this guide is? Now, because your brother David is a member in good standing with the IAFF Local 51, they are allowing you to extend the same no-cost benefit package to your people in your life that are going to help out when something happens to you. So they're going to be receiving the same $2,000 AD&D certificate, the health service discount card, family info guide, and the child safe ID kits of their own. Now they do have to qualify. They have to be over 21, live in the El Paso area, and be employed. Most members extend this to their brothers, sister, parents, and close friends. How many adult brothers and sisters do you have?
1 brother and 1 sister.
Who's the oldest?
Me.
What's their name?
David and Joanne.
Who's next? What's your father's name?
David.
Your mother's?
Katie.
How many adult children do you have over 21?
None.
Who's the oldest? What neighbors have children for the child safe kids? Who else? Now they need their mailing address to go get them out to them. Let's start with your brother and sisters. What's David's address?
124 North 67th Street.
Okay. You do text, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send you a text. Let me know once you get it. Okay, now go ahead and forward that text to everyone you extended them benefits to. That way, they have a heads up. I'll wait. Since your brother, David, is in the area, go ahead and give him a call so we can fill him in, and I'll wait while you do that. Hi, David. This is John with American Income. They do many of the permanent insurance benefits for police officers, firefighters, and veterans. I'm sitting here with your sister Lucy, and she has arranged to receive a no-cost AD&D policy and a benefit package. My job is to get it delivered to you so that you have records and I know what to do when something happens. There's a certificate of coverage I need to drop off along with some benefits she was able to recommend for you. It's very important. The best time to drop this off to you and Sandra. Oh, I better check. You live at 1234 Maple Street? Great. What shifts are you and Sandra working these days? Great, I can take care of this for you today or tomorrow. Today I can do it between 4 and 5, or tomorrow between 7 and 8. What works best for you and Sarah? Alright, Lucy and Joe, since you didn't find out exactly what your brother David did for you, I'll back up a bit. Now, as they mentioned in the letter, there's a program they set up for the members. And in fact, the Labor Advisory Board, it consists of 54 International Labor and Association leaders. They're the most important because they do help us advise and make recommendations to where the gaps in your benefits and what workplace benefits are needed. They have asked us to read this letter off to you since David sponsored you. So, blah, 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 blah. You see, the reason why they have chosen these programs, the union, because they realize that typically 31 days after you leave your job, get laid off, or retire, you can lose all your insurance benefits or they're greatly reduced. These permanent portable insurance benefits, if you qualify for them the rest of your life. Pretty nice, huh? In fact, they don't just work with police, firefighters, teachers. They work with over 40,000 groups, are rated A+ superior, and have over 5 million members enrolled. So they must be doing something right, wouldn't you say? But just because your brother David extended these benefits to you doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to enroll. You do have to qualify. If you're too high risk, they can't let you in. So they have me ask you a couple questions just to make sure. Have you or Joe ever been arrested to include DUIs?
No.
Have either one of you used tobacco or marijuana in the last 12 months?
No.
Do you currently take any prescription medications?
No.
Have you ever had any health issues in your lifetime? Any family history of cancer, or diabetes, or heart disease?
No.
Based on what you told me, I'm not sure if you qualify yet, but you do have a chance, so I can at least explain the benefits to you. The needs analysis will determine the things based on 3 things: family situation, benefits you already have, and income. So what they have me do is ask you a couple of questions to see exactly what you qualify for. All right, Lucy and Joe, did David fill you in on the Hour Power program?
No.
He didn't. The Hour program is a very old principle that says members take the first 2 hours of their weekly wages and set aside to protect themselves and provide for their family's future. Now, 2 hours of your wages each week is roughly 1/20th of your income, right? And it's not going to change your lifestyle any, is it? Of course not. Any financial planner would tell you to set aside 10 to 15% of your income. Your program is based on 2 hours, which is only 5%, so all members can afford it. Now, provide that you can qualify, they allow you to set aside between $20 to $100 a week. Every member has different situations, different hourly wages. What I'm obligated to do is show you what setting aside 2 hours combined will do, what kind of protection that will provide. Then when I'm done, the IAFF, Local 51, would like to have your opinion on this report card that goes directly back to them. Is that fair?
Yes.
So Lucy, what do you make an hour?
$10 an hour.
And Joe, what do you make an hour?
15.
Now what I'm going to do is show you what setting aside $35 an hour will do for just like in your enrollment period, provided you do have to qualify. There are forms you need to be filled out in person while I'm here. And this is not something we can do later over the phone. So be sure to stop me at any time if you have any questions. Is that fair? Now there's 3 areas that are major areas they're concerned about. 1 is accidental injuries, 2, your final expenses, and 3, paycheck protection. The first area they are concerned with is when you're injured in any type of accident. Have either one of you ever thought about what to do when you get injured in an accident? Well, the Labor Advisory Board and American Income has given this a lot of thought. Their concern isn't that your medical bills won't be taken care of. You have health insurance to take care of that. When it's job-related, worker compensation is there, and a lot of members have some form of disability. What they are concerned about is lost wages and other expenses started adding up. Lucy, when you're in the hospital, even though your medical bills are taken care of, no one pays you for being there. Joe, when you get the phone call, obviously you won't be working either. You will be by her side, and vice versa. God forbid something happens to any of your children. In that case, no one's working, right? Lucy, when you or Joe or any of the kids get hurt and end up in the emergency room, they're going to send you up to $150 for taking the time to get the injury looked at. That's for any kind of accidents, whether you scrape your knee, you need stitches, on or off the job. That money comes to you here at home. The only exception is when you have to stay overnight in the hospital. They are going to send you $300 a day up to 1 full year. That ends up to being $2,100 a week. Now let me ask you, when that money comes in, will it help your family? Yes, of course, it will. Now, the only exception is that you have to stay in intensive care. They're going to send you $600 a day up to 2 full weeks. The reason why $4,200 a week is because usually when you're in intensive care, it's life or death situation. Does that make sense? Now, the second area they are concerned with is your final expenses. Now, Lucy, who is going to be responsible for taking care of your funeral and your final expenses when something happens to you?
My husband.
Now, let me ask you, have either one of you had to plan a funeral?
No.
The reason I ask that is a very serious problem. Now, the concern is not the fact that you're going to die, because we will all, right? But when we die, someone in our family has to face the funeral director immediately. Funeral directors these days require a bulk, if not all, of the money up front before they start doing anything. They at least want to know where the money is going to come from. Did you realize that? A lot of people don't. So while your family is waiting for life insurance to come in, who has to take care of things in the meantime? That's right, the family. Or you, Joe. They have to take money out of savings if they have it, or worse yet, borrow it. Does that make sense? So now what they have done is set up the Freedom of Choice certificate to take care of your final expenses. If you qualify, you each will receive your own certificate, and it looks just like this. Now they call this the Freedom of Choice because it's good at any funeral home. The way this works is if something happens to you, Lucy, then Joe, you take this certificate to any funeral home you choose, and when the funeral director looks and says, "Oh, I'm really sorry for your loss, Lucy's funeral is going to be $10,000. How would you like to take care of this today?" At that point, Joe, say, "Lucy has the freedom of choice. Everything is taken care of from this point on." John, in your case, they set aside $15,000. Joe, in your case, they set aside $15,000 to take care of your final expenses. What is not used is the funeral home gets the sent to the beneficiary. Now let me ask you, Lucy and Joe, isn't this nice to finally have this taken care of for your family? Exactly.
Yes.
Each of your kids are covered for $10,000. The benefit can be converted to $50,000 at age 21, regardless of their health or habits. That they can keep for the rest of their life. Pretty nice, huh? Now the only exception is when you die before the age of 65. It'll typically be in some kind of accident, right? Lucy, when something happens to you in any type of accident, not only will it immediately take care of the final expenses, but they are going to send your family an additional $230,000 to help during that time. When we die in an accident, it'll probably, what kind of accident will it probably be? That's right, a car accident. In that case, they're going to send you $260,000 to plus take care of all your final expenses. And when traveling common carrier like a bus, plane, train, they will send an additional $350,000 to the family. Each of your children are covered for 20% of the parents for those same accidents. Does that make sense? The third problem they're concerned about is your paycheck. Lucy, you're on the way home from work and you get killed in a car accident or pass away from a stroke or a heart attack. Is your paycheck going to keep coming in to support Joe and the family? Of course not. Your paycheck vanishes just like that. But taking care of the family, putting food on the table, paying the bills, all stays pretty much the same. So, Joe, the bills keep coming in month after month, and Lucy's paycheck's gone, right? But let me ask you, you do have life insurance, right? Hopefully, 10 times your annual income. The IAFF realizes that members do have life insurance, but here's what happens in the typical situation. When you die, your family has to immediately start dipping into them lump sums. First for reimbursements of your burial and miscellaneous expenses, and then because your paycheck has stopped coming in, you have to keep dipping into your savings and pay bills, put food on the table. And then in a year or two later, what happens? All that money is gone. That's right, it has completely disappeared. It is gone. So here's your paycheck protection or readjustment income. Lucy, when something happens to you, they're going to start paying Joe $2,600 a month the very next month, every month after that for a minimum of 1 year. Now the reason they choose at least 1 year is because you need a decent time to adjust. A couple months just isn't enough. Does that make sense? What they're going to do in your case is, Lucy, when you die, they're going to start sending $2,600 a month for 36 months. For any cause of death. Joe, when something happens to you, Lucy, they're going to send Lucy a check every month that will cover you for $2,600 a month for 36 months. And it'll give your family time to adjust. Of course it will. Now, Joe, you'll probably be in the position when that does happen that you can take the money you receive and get it invested for your future children's education and retirement. Does that make sense? And, Joe, when something happens to you, Lucy, you'll receive the $3,600 for 3 years. Now, this does build an emergency fund after 3 years. If things get tight financially, there will be some money to help take care of your program during that time so you don't lose it. There are also paid up benefits, so when you retire, you can stop contributing to your program and keep it a reduced paid up final expense benefit for the rest of your life. Pretty nice, huh? Have you ever thought about what you will do when you are diagnosed with a terminal illness? Well, they put a lot of thought into it. In fact, they realize you're going to need a lot of cash. When you're diagnosed with a terminal illness and are not expected to live more than the 12 months, they're going to send you half of your final expenses and half of your paycheck protection. The other half will come to your family after you are gone. There is a strike and layoff clause so that if you lose, so you can't lose your program. In fact, in the case of a union strike, they will take care of your insurance benefits for up to a year, and you will never have to pay it back. Lucy, even if you can't work just 1 day because of the strike, they will take care of your benefits not only for a week, which is $30, but for the whole month, which is $160. And on a layoff, as long as you've been working for the past 12 months, they will take care of your program for up to 3 months, and you never have to pay it back. Pretty nice, huh? Also, the insurance benefits are guaranteed and non-cancelable, which means if you qualify, no matter what happens in the future to your health or age or habits, no one can ever take this away from you. Does that make sense? Now, I have showed you what setting aside 2 hours will do for your family. Let's review to make sure it's clear. Your accidental injuries are there for your family. Your freedom of choice certificate for you and Joe and the children for any cause of death is there until it needs to be used. Your paycheck protection and all the protections on the side here to make sure what happens moving forward. You never have to lose your benefits after today. Even if you change jobs, get very sick, or move. Again, you can use these, you can see why these are important to your family. Now my job, because of what your brother David did for you, is to give you the opportunity to enroll and what you qualify for. The best part, they set this up on a payroll deduction but they do it once a month through your own checking account. That way, when you change jobs or retire, you never have to worry about losing your insurance benefits because they are under your control, not your employers or the union. Pretty nice, huh? Lucy, Joe, let's face it, we're all gonna die. We don't have a choice. Either we deal with this now, or someone in your immediate family, brother, sister, your children, will have to deal with this when something happens to you. Does that make sense? Now, you will have to answer medical questions to see if you even qualify. But probably the most important question I need to ask you is when something happens to both of you in a bad car wreck, there will be a little over $550,000 to go to the family. Who would you like that money to go to?
My son,
So what's your son's name?
Philip.
Now, it doesn't make a difference to them which program you try to qualify for. Most families try to qualify for their 2 hours combined or $40 a week, in which what I went over with you. Some families ask if they can do more and set aside more for their family and double their benefits, which is $80 a week. Or sometimes members choose to do the more basic program to get started and know they will have to upgrade down the road, provided they still qualify. Which way would you like to go?
The 40.
While you're thinking about which option makes the most sense, I'll go ahead and ask you some medical questions to see if you even qualify.